Shalom, shalom. Giving all praises to Yahweh Shem Shai Shem Kakwadash, the true name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and his beloved Son, Yahweh Shai, and the Holy Spirit, which are the angels that come in the form of men, come in the form of angelic extraterrestrial bodies, and also come in the form of visions and dreams. When you read Revelation, our Lord sent his angel to testify, and he showed himself. So the Lord came to John, but the Lord Yahweh Shai came to the Apostle Paul as well. That's why the Apostle Peter said that Paul in 2 Peter 3, around about the 15, 16, 17 verse, around about there, I'm not going to go to it, that he spoke, he I'm just loosely saying, he was deep. Was Paul's writings went over a lot of people's head, and they tried to figure out the writings of the scriptures to their own detriment, their own destruction. Anyway, I'm going to entitle this video, and I had a lot of subjects in my head. I was going to do one on a Cornelius Council, which we got kicked out of the house of David. I may speak on that, but what I'm going to do for now, I'm going to entitle this video, Did the 48ers Fulfill Biblical Prophecy? So I went to Google and I pretty much put that in. And this is the second page that came up, is the modern state of Israel, the fulfillment of prophecy. You can read it. I'm just kind of reading to myself. I just want to get into the scriptures. It says here, promised land is highly problematic today. Even some committed Jews and Christians may wonder what relationship the present day state of Israel has with the land it cites on. In 1948, varying numbers of Orthodox Jews were horrified that anyone could even consider a Jewish state based upon modern notions of nationality in place of a kingdom under the Messiah's reign. This sentiment persists today. Oh, and I spoke to many of the Orthodox, some of them that live in the community among themselves. And one day I got to go out there. You got one up there in Harris, New York, which is maybe an hour and a half or so from the city. Then you have Muncie, which is maybe, 40 minutes from the city. And then you have Eastern Parkway. These are communities of Orthodox, the Lubavitcher and the Hasidim, which goes back to the Hasmonean dynasty. They link themselves directly to the Maccabees and so forth. So that's where Hasidim come from. But anyway, you have one group, me talking to them, and they're all very nice people. All right. Do I love them? Of course I love them. They gave me all this information. Why wouldn't I love them? Now in the kingdom, am I going to love them? Yeah, I'm gonna show them the love that the Most High. I'm gonna give them that Ezekiel 25:12 love. Okay, so you read that and you tell me what that means. Okay, I'm gonna be saying this is gonna hurt me more than it hurts you. So, okay, so let me. Okay, today even committed Jews and Christians may wonder what relationship the present day state of Israel has, because like I said, speaking to these people, there's two groups of orthodoxies, Orthodox so-called small hats, Jews. And these guys that I deal with are big, they're big hats. They wear the big, you got the small hats and you got the big hats. They wear the big, like Abraham Lincoln type hats with the big fur around it. And they'll have, instead of having pants, they'll have knickers, you know. They look more like pilgrims and they wear all black, that which represents the mourning. Jeremiah 14:2. And if you really want to get deep and technical, for vocab, he says, well, really, that term black in Jeremiah 14:2 is really talking about the state and condition, which if you want to get deep, you can. That's why you use other scriptures, if you really want to get technical. But you better keep that energy, vocab, because if you want to get technical about the scriptures, you would have to say that those people over there, the 48ers over there, not the people, and that's not the fulfillment of prophecy. He never questions that because he's an apologist for those people. Like I said, they're very nice people. They as I say, you don't bother. You're not assholes. You pick them up, they say, how you doing? How's your day? A lot of times they can't. He said, you're a very good driver. You're a very good driver. And then you realize, they gave me a tip. Oh, wow. You know how we think about them, that they're cheap. They give tips. They give you no trouble, no problems, period. So you know what? I said, let me talk to them. I'll talk to the men mostly. I'll talk mostly to the men. Not too much. I'll say a few words to the women, but I'll talk to the men. And I'll ask them questions. And I'll say, if you're offended, if you don't want me to ask you questions, I won't, out of respect. He's no, ask on, son, ask on. So I'll ask him. So this one guy, I remember, we had a long conversation. And he said that, because I thought they all had the same belief system, which they didn't. They said there's some of them that are over there because they think they're fulfilling prophecy. Oh, he said they're waiting for the Messiah. They said some of them are over there to wait for the Messiah, to greet the Messiah when he comes, because he's coming from out of Edom and so forth. But others say, no, the Messiah is supposed to come and take us back to Israel, which he's correct on that, So you got two different Orthodox, so-calls that are the big hats and then small hats. So wait a minute, who's right? Who's right? And wouldn't every Israelite want to be back in their land? And wouldn't that be the fulfillment of Deuteronomy 28, verses 1 to 15? 14, 15? The blessings. Part of the blessings that we're going to be over all the nations. And they're not over all the nations. They're under the jurisdiction of local, state, and federal government. What proved that? When they started pushing you had to wear the mask and you had to get the jab eventually. They said, man, F that. They were rioting, man. If you go back to the news, they didn't want to wear the mask. And then you know what? They got so much pushback, the state, that they said, let them do what they want. Now I went to one place and I had to wear a mask. If you're working for drive share and so forth, a taxi. So I went into this big market. It's a big mall, but the only people that are in there are small hats. But I mean, if I wanted to buy something, I can buy something. I'm pretty sure I could. But you know who was working up in there? A lot of Issacharites. So you saw a bunch of small hats, big hats, and Issacharites. And that was when the mask mandate was heavy. Not one of them, not a one wore the masks because they said, fuck this. Now the Issacharites that were working there, they were wearing masks. So come on. And there was no big outbreak, so to speak. All right. I don't know why I said all that, but they do their own thing. But guess what? They still not over the other nations. So let's read on. I'm a little all over the place. And I'm gonna hit, there's some scriptures here as I read down. I'm gonna hit some of these scriptures. It says present day state of Israel has with, now remember they're saying 1948 is the fulfillment of all prophecies of the Israelites returning back, right? With the, are you listening, Vocab Malone? Land it sits on in 1948, varying numbers. Oh, and by the way, true fulfillment is to what? Is to have land from, matter of fact, let me go to that. And I'm gonna just put this out here. You people, you scholars out there, you cannot deal with us when it comes to these scriptures. You cannot deal with us. You cannot deal with the professor inside Job. 15. Let me go to 15. And by the way, for you knuckleheads out there, this is not talking about America. It's talking about ancient Egypt. And you know how we know this? Let me find the bear with me for a minute. All right, right here. Genesis 15, verse 16. But in the fourth generation, they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites, which are Canaanites, which represents all the Canaanites, is not yet full. They're going to be in the land until the Most High, you know, you're in the wilderness for 40 years. So you had the Canaanites, the seven nations of the Canaanites doing what they do. They're heathenistic, worshiping the spiritual demon Satan, which the first people that worship Satan really goes back to Ur the Chaldee, dark people. Then you had Canaan, Babylon, the Assyrians. They all worship the devil under their name. So these Edomites, these top elite Edomites that worship the spiritual demon Satan, have to worship them through those ancient gods. Dagon, which is an ancient, if I'm not mistaken, is a Canaanite deity. And the practice of Dagon, the fish god, goes back to the Pope with the hat that big hat that looks like a fish, big fish with his mouth open. That he's a prophet of Dagon, the fish god. So these are who these Edomites worship. They worship the gods of the Canaanites, man, and the people of Ur. That's where their power comes from, left hand side. Read Isaiah 47 verse 10 on down. It says, and also that nation, let me start from 13. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed, now he had many seeds, so you got a Christian, well, he had many seeds. He had that seed that it was talking about was his second boy, which he didn't even have yet, which is Isaac. He had Isaac in his old age. That seed was talking about Isaac. So who came out of Isaac? Esau and Jacob, right? Did Esau receive the blessing that Jacob received? Nope. The blessing that that Esau received was a sword. You have to take it. You're gonna get blessings, but you're gonna have to take it. You're gonna have to rape, rob, and murder in order to get these blessings. So Jacob, the blessing went from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob. So you had the woman that was sent by Vocab Malone, the black woman. It said, aren't you Jacob's? Do you love Esau? No, hell no, we don't love Esau. Esau proved that he's the damn enemy, man. When the Edomites burnt down the Jerusalem, let's say, the temple, Jerusalem, the city, that all bets were off, man. Oh, I still love him, even though he burnt down. But some of us in there, I still love him. You're fucking lying to yourself. That's why the Christians are the stupidest religion. Christianity is the stupidest religion on the planet Earth. You keep asking them questions. That's why they ask us questions. They don't answer our questions. They ask us questions. It said, and then even I believe it was Apostle Cabal or Apostle Ramla, but because they all did response to what I did. But I said, well, let's go with the Edomite thing. We know this talking the word there was Syria, but I said let's say it's talking about the Edomite. Let's go with the Edomite thing. The word abhor does not mean hate. So she says, thou shalt not abhor Edomite. You're not supposed to hate him. The word abhor does not translate into the word hate. That's a completely different word. The word hate is harag. When you look that word up, the word is not harag. If somebody has leprosy, they're contaminated. Clean lepers, they're not contaminated. Unclean lepers are contaminated. So you separate them. That's, you go back to Leviticus 13, Leviticus 14 speaks about, and you don't even know about that. If you got blonde, natural blonde hair, you're a clean leper. Then you have unclean lepers. Then you have albinos. That's what Esau is, an albino, a clean leper. He can walk amongst people and he won't contaminate people. Then you have unclean lepers. And you had to be put out the camp. It says, and he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed, he had 8 seeds altogether, 6 from Keturah, his wife after Sarah died, and he had 1 with Sarah's handmaid, which was Ishmael, his firstborn son. He was supposed to get all the blessings, and he did become blessed. Out of Ishmael shall become 12 princes, right? But the promise will go to who? To Isaac, meaning Isaac, and Jacob. And now out of Jacob, came the 12 sons of Jacob, which are the Israelites. So anybody that comes out of the loins of the son Judah, you're a Judite. Issachar, you're an Issacharite. I don't give a damn what nation you lay with. You can lay with an Edomite. You can lay with a Moabite. You can lay with any nation's woman. That seed that comes out is an Israelite that happens to look like the other nation, one of the other nations. It says, and he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed, meaning what? Isaac, because Isaac didn't go into captivity. Jacob was up in age and eventually he died. So who actually went up in there? It was the sons of Jacob. So what did it mean by know of a surety that thy seed, meaning the 12, the Israelites, the sons of Jacob, shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, which is Mizraim. Is not talking about America, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Now that word afflict is a word ainah. That's the same word in Deuteronomy 22, what is that, 25, 28, around there, where it says humble them. The 400 years represent what? They were in there for 430 years. They were afflicted for 400 years. And also that nation, the people of Mizraim, whom they shall serve, will I judge. And afterward shall they come out with great substance. It said that they borrowed of the Egyptians. Let me get that real quick. And see, Christians, if you go deep in boxing, right? The guy says, I'm going to take him in the deep waters and I'm going to drown him. Well, that's what you do with a Christian. You take him in the deep waters and you drown him spiritually, meaning you hit him with all those different scriptures. If they, like the woman that came up with the Esau and Deuteronomy, you know, goddamn well, she didn't learn that in church about Esau. They don't teach. Motherfucker, I used to go to church. I know people that went to church. They ain't never, okay, today's lesson is on the Edomites. They ain't even mentioned nothing about no Edomites, man. The fact that you talk about Edomites, I had to take a breath. This is, boy. The fact, you know, we mention Edomites because we know it. These Christians are just coming around the Edomites. Vocab is just, nobody taught vocab in this theological cemetery about Edomites. They didn't go into Edomites and who Edomites, what they look like. He just makes it up as he goes along. That's what that clown does. If he doesn't have, if they didn't teach him in the seminary school, the cemetery school, he'll make it up. He'll just make it up. He's not deep at all, but he's building himself up. Why? Because of us. He needs to start sending us money because we didn't up his scriptural game. Okay, no, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. Okay, this is what I wanted. I wanted to open up another. Let me see. What was the word? Was it borrowed? Let me open up another tab. Borrowed. I think I spelled it right. Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I spelled it wrong. Let me try it this way. Borrowed. Let me see. Let me do it this way. Let me put in Bible. Borrowed Bible verse. Damn it. Bear me for a minute. I hate this. Okay, I think I found it. Exodus. Let me do this. Exodus 12. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses, and they borrowed of the Egyptian jewels of silver and jewels of gold and remnant. So this is Exodus. Let me go to the scripture. I hadn't gone to this in years. Let me do it this way. Because if they actually borrowed, then when did they pay the Egyptians back? It was a loan. Okay. And this goes into the first Passover. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses, and they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and remnant. So when it says they should come out with great substance, that's what it's talking about. Let me look up the word borrowed in the Hebrew. Okay, sha'al. It really means like a severance pay or reparations. So they did get reparations. To ask, inquire, borrow, beg, to ask for, to ask, borrow, to inquire, inquiry, to inquiry, of consult, of deity, to ask oneself, to be given or request, to grant, make over to, let, successfully, or give or lend on request, grant, to make over to. So that represented reparations. So they got some reparations, all right, from the Egyptians because the Most High plagued them. Because what did the Pharaoh say? He said, go leave and ask your Lord to bless me too. Because he saw that the power was heavier than there. Excuse me. Were more powerful than their God. So he had fear in him. Then he went to when they went through the Gulf of Suez into the wilderness, they went to get him, and the Most High drowned them because they wanted them to go back into slavery. They wanted their gold and their silver back. So I'm all over the place, but okay, 13 again. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land, that land is so-called Egypt, Mizraim, that is not theirs, Mizraim, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. They were in the land for 430. And also that nation whom thou shalt serve, the ancient Egyptian, Mizraim, will I judge. He brought judgment against them, Hamashapat. And afterward shall they come out with what? With great substance. They borrowed of the Egyptians. That great substance was reparations, a severance pay. And thou shalt go to, and that's what Jake is asking for. They're asking for severance pay for what they're for. Well, your forefathers did that. Well, wait a minute. Shouldn't we pay? Isn't that, let's say our foreparents, set up great businesses and so forth, and somehow you guys take it and it's justified that you guys took it, then who gets it back? The people that build it up are dead, but who are their lineage? Their descendants, us. So we get the blessings. That's why the small hats are over there in the land of Israel, because they're saying, well, we connect to the people of the ancient world, which is a goddamn lie. It says, and thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age. And that's when we went into the wilderness, we went into the promised land. But it says, but in the fourth generation, they shall come hither again, where the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet come. That shows you that's talking about ancient Egypt. So it says, and it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, the smoke of furnace burning lamp between the pieces, and the Lord said, and in the same day, the Lord made a covenant. Oh, and this clown vocab says, see, he made a covenant. He made a covenant. I see, we all the nations, we're under the Lord's covenant. The Lord made, when you look it up, I believe it's 7 covenants. You got the Mosaic covenant. You got the covenant of circumcision. You got the covenant of the rainbow. That went to the people on the earth, whatever nation. There's different covenants. I believe there's 7 different covenants. The last covenant is the fulfillment of Jeremiah 31 and 31, which the Apostle Paul repeats in Hebrews 8 verse 6. That covenant goes to Israel. It's exclusively for Israel. And that covenant is that he's gonna put the laws in our inward part. It has nothing to do with you other nations. Now, how are you gonna be under that covenant? Because we're gonna make you keep the laws that were given to Moses. In the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abraham, saying, unto thy seed, which are who? Isaac. Isaac had who? Jacob. Jacob had who? The Israelites. Unto thy seed have I given this land from the river of Egypt. So you got the river Nile, which goes up and down Egypt and the land of Cush, onto the great river, the river Euphrates. Well, wait a minute. They don't have that. They don't have that. The river Euphrates. They don't go. The small hats landmass does not go up to the river. That means they would have part of Iraq, so you can understand. So they're not the people. They haven't fulfilled anything. Bear with me for a minute. Okay, this is something else. Let me come back to this. Okay, so let's come back to this right here. It's kind of stressing out, I'm not giving you them hell damnation scriptures, the deep breakdowns. We're just analyzing. And this is called study. It says, today, even some committed Jews and Christians may wonder what relationship the present day state of Israel has with the land it it sits on. Like they're questioning it. Like I said, you got two groups of the orthodoxy. One group says they're over there because they're waiting for the Messiah to come so they can greet him. The other group says no, we're supposed to be around the world, and the Lord's supposed to come and pick us up and bring us over to that land. So when the kingdom is established, the people they're going to all be under one agreement, and David's going to be there to rule over them. So it says, present day state of Israel has with the land it sits on in 1948, verifying numbers of Orthodox Jews were horrified that anyone could even consider a Jewish state based upon modern notions of nationality in a place of a kingdom under the Messiah's reign. So what are they saying? Two major groups. Two major groups of the Orthodox. You got the small hats and the big hats. There, one day I'm gonna go through there. I'm gonna go through those communities: Eastern Parkway, Harris, Muncie, and the major groups that the people that are over there in the land of Israel today, they come out of New York. They work with the UN. This sentiment persists today. So how do you answer this, Vocab Malone? There's some of them people that say, nope, they're not supposed to be, we're not supposed to be over there. Others say we are supposed to be there. And I got it from them. I got it from these people that wear the all black. Yet, politics aside, it cannot be denied that not only have the children of Israel endured, despite the harsh treatment they have received. If you really want to get deep, that only goes back to us. These people didn't receive the harsh treatment like us. But yoke. When did Hitler put yokes of iron on these small hats' necks? It says, and against all odds, after 2,000 years of exile, the Jewish people have once again returned to the land of Israel as biblical prophets promised they would. Now, where's David? If they came back, they've been back before I was born, years before I was even born. Hell, my mother was a young girl, but she was 8 years old, maybe 7 years old. But there's no 48, 58, 68, 78, 88, 98, 2008, 2018. We're talking over 70 years. No, where's King David at? Where's King David? The vocab, where's King David at? Prophets to promise they would. The Hebrew prophets foretold a day when the Lord would draw his people back to Israel. Although centuries of dispersion caused the aspiration to retreat into the far background of Jewish life, it never fully disappeared. If nothing else, the hope that is voiced every year during Passover next year in Jerusalem. Well, that's what we say. That's what we say. But they got the opportunity to go there. They got the opportunity to all go back there. But guess what? They got to rule the world. Isaiah 2 verse 2. All everyone shall flow into it, and they shall and we shall teach them of their ways, or they shall teach us of their ways. That's not happening. Matter of fact, in the land of Israel, you commit adultery, you can do whatever. You can be a mole, you can have a sex change operation. That's not the fulfillment of the scriptures, man. And their blessings is from the states over here. Service uh, serves as an annual reminder of the Jewish people's lost heritage. No, we the ones with the lost heritage. And the place where it was said, "Ye are not my people," there it shall be told unto them, "Ye are the sons of the living power." So unlikely did a realistic restoration of the Jews to their land seem that throughout church history, Christians, for the most part, could not conceive of a literal fulfillment of this promise. Therefore, many believers in Jesus interpret these prophecies figuratively or historically, if they thought of them at all. Um, However, some believers in the 19th century did indeed take the promise of the return literally and began to anticipate a Jewish return to the land of Israel. Thus, you could say that what has become known as Christian or biblical Zionism, that's why all these Christians, they all support the fact that the people in the land of Israel are the people, because they're part of the same group. They get the same memo. That's why they demonize us. It was birthed at the same time or even earlier than than raising Jewish aspiration for modern statehood promoted by Theodore Herzl, whatever. Statehood and the promise of the Bible. Let me read this, and then I'm going to go into the precepts. In the existence of the modern state of Israel, a further validation of scripture reliability along the same lines as that of the Jewish people continuing presence in the world, consider the following conditions set out in the scriptural record. So now you know what we're going to do. We're just going to bring some of these out because this is the fulfillment of what they do. I'm sorry. Let's go to Zechariah 12. And I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplication, and they shall look upon me whom they have pierced. Wait a minute, where's the Lord at? Where's the Lord at? And they shall mourn for him as one mourneth for his own son, and shall be in bitterness for him as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn. What does that mean in the kingdom of heaven? The Lord's going to come back and he's going to show the body that was he was tortured by the Romans. He's going to bring that body back and we're going to mourn. When did that happen? The small hat's been in the land for over 70 years, going on 80 years. When did this happen? When did this happen? This is yet to happen. So that's look. I can close this, man. So now let's go and come back. Let's go to the 13th chapter. In that day there shall be a fountain open to the house of David and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem for sin and for uncleanness. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that I will cut off the names of the idols out of the land, and they shall no more be remembered. And also I will cause the prophets and the unclean spirit to pass out the land. 4th verse. And it shall come to pass in that day that the prophet shall be ashamed every one of his vision when he hath prophesied, neither shall they wear a rough garment to deceive. But he shall say, I am no prophet, I am an husbandman. I work in a regular job. For man taught me to keep cattle from my youth. That means you got a lot of guys. What does it say in Matthew 24? False messiahs, false prophets, right? And they're out here. They're out here, man. All these Israelite groups propping up with different, scriptural breakdowns. In the kingdom, they're going to be ashamed. Daniel 12, they're going to have their heads down. Some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. Meaning you're going to feel bad, but you're going to get over it. And furthermore, the Most High set these guys up to be a stumbling block to the unbelievers. Likewise, the prophet Ezekiel stated God. So this hasn't come to pass. Where's the Messiah? When did the Messiah bring back that body from 2,000 years ago? And all the tribes mourned over his body. That hasn't come to pass. For I will take you from the nations, gather you from all the lands, and we have literally scattered throughout all the lands, so we look like everybody, and bring you into your own land. When it says bring you, it's talking about the whole nation. Why would the promise be here to go back to the land, but you want to stay here in America and Europe and wherever you are, and you want to live a secular life, but be able to shave your beard and do what the hell you want to do? Let's go to Ezekiel 36 and 24. For I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries and will bring you into your own land. We can read more, but I'm not going to. Let me come down. Let me jump down to 32nd. The Bible predicts Israel would return to the land in stages. Ezekiel 37. That's BS. Ezekiel 37 continues the stark and unforgettable vision of the valley of dry bones. They don't even know what the valley of dry bones are. That's America. That's America. Because the Great Awakening came out of America. If you really want to go deep, it came out of Harlem, New York. One was on 25th Street. Those men, Marshall, Arion, Yaquab, and then you had men up under them, and then we came up under them. That's where the truth came out. That's why they put so much emphasis on us and demonize us. Because what are we teaching? We're teaching that this place is going to be destroyed, and we're teaching that they're going into slavery. Ain't no other Israelite, other New Old Testament, they ain't teaching that. That's why they demonize us. What if you went to sleep every night for a couple of weeks, and every night you went to sleep, you found out you were in the field working as a so-called white man in the field, and you got so-called black men kicking you in the ass and whipping you, and you see visions of you being hung up and whipped, some of you being lynched. You have that dream for about 2 weeks or a month. You're gonna be afraid to go to sleep. So they don't want that. Nobody wants to go into hardcore slavery, man. But guess what? They're going into hardcore slavery. Thus saith the scriptures. And that's why they demonize us, because we're telling the truth. And I become your enemy because I give you the truth. This is real, man. It says the bones come to life in stages. That is true. First sinews in the bones, then flesh, then skin. That's talking about us. That's why there's Vocab did a video about a year ago. He estimated, based upon some research he did, some statistics or whatever, he said that he came to the conclusion that there's about 12 million Negroes, blacks in America that identify with Hebrew Israelism, and 12%, 13% represent supposed to be not even 50 million of us. So that represents what? That represents a third of us. That represents about a third of us. It says flesh, and finally the breath, meaning the full knowledge. Paul Kersey, the breath is talking about what? Not half breath, not 80% breath, not 50% breath. When the breath was breathed into them, that was the full breath. The Lord breathed on the disciples, right? He didn't breathe on them with 50% breath. You either breathed on or you're not. You either have the whole truth or you don't have the whole truth. I will send you the Comforter, St. John 14. And he shall what? Teach you all things, and all things shall be brought to your remembrance. So when you say, I'm talking about Paul Kersey, oh, we don't have it all. Well, you don't have it all because Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai is not dealing with you. That's why you call on Most High and Christ bless. Most High is not dealing with you. The Most High is dealing with GMS 100%. Ezekiel 37 verse 6. So now I'm forced to pretty much, which is one of my favorite prophetic books or chapters. Let me do this. Let me get ready to close it. And I will put sinews upon you and bring flesh upon you. Put breath. The breath is a full knowledge in you, and ye shall live, and ye shall know that I am Yahweh. So I prophesied as I was commanded. Oh, there's another thing. I prophesied I was commanded. The most I say this, that, and the third. Don't say this, don't do that, don't do this, but do this. That's what Ezekiel did. He didn't do no extracurricular stuff like 10,000 guys marching down the street, or we don't know the whole gospel. If you don't know the whole gospel, Paul Kersey, that means you don't got the breath. You haven't been breathed on. What Bishop Nathaniel was doing, and he's teaching, y'all teaching that to Israel, which is a good thing. But how many of you guys are truly prophets? I can't say whether you are or not. I can't say whether I am or not. That's why we call ourselves the hopeful elect. Ezekiel the third chapter, another one of my favorite chapters that is always in my mind, that I would always go into. Eat this roll and go out and teach the sons of Israel. What does it mean to eat this roll? Get the instruction book, digest it in your brain, and then teach it. Learn the instruction book and then teach the instruction book. Not teach the instruction book and your opinion. Not, oh, I'm going to only teach them half of the book. So I prophesied as I was commanded, word for word. My meat is to do the will of him that sent me and to finish his work. And as I prophesied, there was I'm going to give you a story. I was working for this company, and I had to deal with two different guys to give them documents, right? And one of the guys I couldn't stand. He was a Jake from England. He's a fucking asshole. To this day, he's probably dead right now. So the place where I picked up from, the woman, the wife of the man that owns a business, but I was cool with them, right? Gave me some cupcakes, right? They gave me 3 cupcakes. They said 1 for you and 2 for the other guys, right? So I'm like, man, I ain't giving that nigga no fucking cupcake. Fuck him, man. So I gave the one guy 2. I said, hey, you can have 2 cupcakes, right? So the chick calls, the boss's wife calls this guy saying, how's y'all like the cupcake? So the guy goes, what cupcake? He said, I gave a cupcake to give you. So when I came back, they said, what happened? You didn't get this guy a cupcake. You know what I said? I said, I didn't give him the cupcake because he didn't deserve the cupcake. Then they started cracking up, man, because they didn't know what to do. They started cracking up. They just, oh my goodness, this guy got some nerve. Man, I like this guy. And I said, look, he's a fucking asshole, man. He said, don't ever give me anything to give him because I ain't gonna give him shit. All right. He wasn't all that bad, but he was an asshole. And he caught me on a day that I fuck, he ain't getting no goddamn cupcake. So that's one of my war stories. So I prophesied as I commanded. So you can't say, oh, I'm not going to teach this guy because I don't like this guy. He took my girl back in elementary school, so I'm not going to, but he could be one of the elect. You can't do what the fuck you want to do. That's a topic right there. You can't do what the fuck you want to do. Look, the old saying, follow my lead. That should be a slogan for GMS. Follow my lead. You want to get it right? Follow GMS lead, because we got the whole truth. We're the only group that says that we got 100% truth. And the rest of y'all don't got 100% truth. That's why we don't got to go on debates and all that to prove it. We ain't got to prove nothing to Garfield or any of them. If you can't see it, we fucking moving on. We only looking for the elect. Anyway, you know what? Let me close this. I can keep going, but let me close this. You know what it says? It says, so I prophesied. This is why they're afraid. So it's Revelation 11, and great fear fell upon them that saw us, right? That's why they demonize us, because they fear the fulfillment of prophecies. Those people over there in Israel, and you know that, you fucking vocab Malone, you know that, you damn devil, that those people are not the people, and you're nothing but an apologist for them. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath, which is the full knowledge, 100% of the knowledge. Another word for breath is the Holy Spirit. I shall teach you. I will send you the Comforter, which shall come in my name, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rakah Kodash. He or it shall teach you all things. What is it? The book and the spirit that comes with the book. The Lord will do nothing, but he revealeth his secrets, all of his secrets, unto his servants, the prophets, except for the ones he don't want to reveal. Glass darkly, 1 Corinthians 13. What does that mean? We're going to find out who I was in the past life. We're going to find out who this guy was in the past life. We're going to find out all the times David came back. Oh, David was this guy, and David was that guy, and John was this guy, and John was that guy. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them. The Israelites said, not the them is talking about the elect of Israel, not all of Israel. Certain Israelites is not going to get it. And they lived. They were quickened. In the New Testament, the word quicken means to come alive, to make alive. And stood up upon their feet, an exceeding great army. What kind of army? A spiritual army. A spiritual army, right? Now it says here, what is it? Who is it talking about? 12th verse. Therefore prophesy and say unto them, thus saith the Lord power, behold, O my people, I will open your graves. The graves are in America and around the world, but starting with America, and cause you to come up out of your grave, spiritual grave. This goes hand in hand with Revelation 11, and bring you into the land of Israel. Wait a minute. Bear me for a minute. Okay, it's 11 verse. I jumped to the 12th. So exceeding great army, 11 verse, Ezekiel 37:11. Then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are the what? The whole house of Israel. What does it mean by the whole house of Israel? All the 12 tribes. All the 12 tribes. Not just the tribe of Judah, because those people over there call themselves the Jews. Mosiah is not dealing with the Jews. He's dealing with Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Ephraim, Manasseh, Gad, Reuben, Issachar, Asher, Naphtali, Zebulun. Behold, they say, our bones are dried and our hope is lost. We are cut off for our parts. Therefore prophesy and say unto them, thus saith the Lord power, O my people, I will open your graves. Where? In the place where it says you are not my people, and cause you to come up out of your graves, but figuratively, and bring you into the land of Israel. That hasn't happened. We're not in the land of Israel. When we come in the land of Israel, we're going to be over all the nations, and the law is going to be established throughout the whole planet Earth. Ain't going to be no moles, ain't going to be no, it's not going to be no more adultery, not going to be no more murder. Everything is going to be in order. And these people that are over there in the land of Israel, even their own people saying you don't belong over there. So how do you deal with that, Vocab Malone? Anyway, with that, I'm going to say Shalom.